Good evening, everyone. This is Agri Business Now, the program that keeps you informed of all the current activities taking place within the agricultural sector. We have a lot in store for you, and I invite you to stay tuned. This evening, we will continue to advise you on the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Act. We have details from a recently held agritourism policy setting workshop. International Day of Forestry celebrated last week. We also have the How to Do segment along with the news and announcements. Don't go away, Agri Business Now will be right back.
Water. It is 75% of the Earth's surface, yet it is scarce in some places. It's 70% of our body's mass, yet many do not drink that 8 glasses per day. The forest plays an important part in the water cycle by protecting our watersheds. Water is life.
Thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, you are watching Agri Business Now. For the past weeks, Noel Bruce, legal advisor to the Farmers Support Company Limited, has been sensitizing us on the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Act. In this first segment of the program, he will continue to do just that.
The power to arrest and seize is Section 11. Now, if upon being required to produce a certificate of purchase or receipt to give proof of ownership or to give an account under Section 10, the person in charge of the vehicle or other means of conveyance does not produce the certificate of purchase or receipt, or fails to give proof of ownership, or does not give an account, or if he produces a certificate of purchase or receipt, or gives proof of ownership, or gives an account that in the opinion of the constable is not genuine, the constable may regard that person as a suspected person and may do one of the following. A. Arrest that person and any other person whom he has reasonable cause to suspect. B. He may seize all agricultural produce or livestock that the suspected person was found conveying, and seize any vehicle or other means of conveyance or any parcel or package whereby the suspected person was conveying the agricultural produce or livestock. So you see how important it is to have these documents with you, and also be able to identify the goods that you are carrying and to say something about them, because in the event that you do not furnish, you do not give the constable explanation that he finds to be genuine or acceptable to him, he can arrest you, he can seize the agricultural produce, and he can also seize your vehicle. So let us now, in order to prevent this from happening, let us go and talk about some do's and some don'ts. Let us look firstly at do's. 1. Ensure the person from whom the goods are bought is a bona fide registered farmer, that he has a valid seller's certificate or has the legal authority to sell you the goods. So make sure it is a genuine farmer. Make sure, you may ask, how would I know if it's a genuine farmer? Well, of course, there are means and ways of knowing these things. And firstly, the person should have a valid farmer's ID. I think in a subsequent program, we will show you a farmer's ID and to show you the various info that you are expected to see when presented with a farmer's ID, because the farmer's ID should have also the location of the farm. So if you go in Chateau and you're buying produce from a person with a farmer's ID, let's say he's farming in Lowman's Windward, you have to consider this and take it into consideration. 2, be sure to get a receipt at the end of the transaction and keep it until necessary. 3, as a suspected person, your house, the store, compound, yard, lands, or other places can be searched by an officer of the law with authorization through a signed search warrant. 4, the officer may use force, such as breaking open door or otherwise, once the suspected person is informed of the intent. And 5, all convicted persons will be kept under supervision for 1 year. Now, in transporting agricultural produce, let us look at some do's. 1, place an identification mark on all agricultural produce or livestock being transported. So you know that these produce are from farmer X. Livestock is from farmer B. So you are able to give the officer a satisfactory explanation of identify the good, where it is from, who you bought it from. 2, ensure the identification of the goods can be easily seen if requested to stop by an officer of the law. 3, always be able to produce a valid farmer's ID card, seller's certificate, receipt, or any acceptable account for being in possession of the goods for the, let me go over that again. Always be able to produce a valid farmer's ID, a seller's certificate, a receipt, or any acceptable account for being in possession of the goods to the officer of the law. 4, be prepared to stop and make allowances for the searching of the vehicle transporting the agricultural produce or livestock if requested by an officer of the law to do so. 5, as a suspected person, driving a vehicle or declaring ownership to the agricultural produce or cargo within, the vehicle along with the agricultural produce or livestock can be seized by an officer of the law without a search warrant. 6, vehicles taken in the crime can be sold unless an application for repossession is approved and granted by the court of law. And 7, as a suspected person, you can be searched and arrested without a warrant. As a farmer, as a purchaser, if you abide by the sections and by the do's and the don'ts and by the act, we will have good farming, good business, good transactions, and we will be able to curb predial larceny, the theft of agricultural produce and livestock.
From the 19th of March to the 20th, a 2-day agritourism policy setting workshop was held here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the conference room of the Beachcombers Hotel at Villa. The workshop, which was organized in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, Sports and Culture, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the Technical Center for Agricultural and Rural Cooperation, and the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, had as its objectives to promote linkages between the agri-food sector and the tourism industry to increase sustainable local sourcing of fresh and processed agricultural and fisheries products through an effective agritourism policy, to increase the understanding and awareness of the current deficiencies in the supply of food products along the value chain, and to identify the actions needed. to design intersectoral and inclusive policies which promote public-private sector partnerships for improved local food use and consumption by the tourism and food service sectors, and to review the strategy for the development of farm tourism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Speaking at the opening ceremony was Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Suboto Caesar.
If I am to assess agritourism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where we are now and where we want to be, we have to move from subsistence agritourism to commercial agritourism. There's something very important for the sustainability of any business. If you don't have customers, if you don't have a throughput, you will not have a viable business. If you don't have a market, you could have the best product in the world. After a while, you'll realize that you are not creating the livelihoods that you expected. I am very happy today to underscore the point that this very unique marriage between agriculture and tourism, that we have significantly most of the facets already in place. To create an industry, you need land, you need labor, you need capital, you have the entrepreneurship and the technology. The farmers already have the land. And in this case, there will be a working relationship between the farmers and persons in the tourism sector so that we can create that product. But we will languish in our quest to create a commercial product if we do not have the capital injection. And we have to spend some time not only speaking about the product that we want to have, but how we are going to raise the money to create that product. Because if you don't have the capital to inject, to create the product, you are not going to have a business that can create the sorts of income that will attract other persons to the subsector. I see very soon in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that we can have a thriving medicinal cannabis tourism subsector. It will be a major plank in our thrust to develop a national agro-tourism product.
Agriculture and tourism are important sectors in many small island developing states, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The agricultural sector has over the years focused on the production of primary commodities for domestic consumption or trade in regional or extra-regional markets. The tourism sector provides an avenue for increased sale of high-quality, nutritious and healthy foods that can be consistently provided for the operation of hotels and restaurants. Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture, Honorable Cecile Mackey, was present and made some remarks.
Indeed, our history will show that agriculture and tourism have dominated our economic landscape over the past century. From cotton to sugarcane to bananas and now to tourism. Together, they have driven the economy as the lead productive sectors and accounts for a large percent of our GDP. Presentations over the next 2 days will flesh out and focus on each separately and then establish and strengthen the links between both with a view towards establishing clear policy guidelines to stimulate and develop across both sectors. We will focus on the vulnerability of both, the importance of moving from a monocrop reality to a diversified agro base, and from a $1 million tourism industry to a potentially $1 trillion tourism sector, where sport tourism, festival tourism, health tourism, and now agro-tourism will be the buzzwords. I'm sure that the spread of our investment portfolio, port facilities, air facilities, availability of markets, air and sea transportation, the emerging medical marijuana industry, renewable energy, the SVG reality, will all be added to the mix as we advance the agro-tourism concept and model. Our vulnerability to natural disasters, climate change, the impact of pests and diseases, and the mitigation measures required will all be part of your dialogue over the next 2 days. Agro-tourism is a type of vacation in which hospitality is offered to locals and visitors alike, which may include activities such as farming, tasks during visits, where tourists have an opportunity to pick fruits and vegetables, ride a donkey, taste honey, shop in gift shops and farm stands for local produce or handcrafted gifts or souvenirs. Farm tours generally offers a unique and memorable experience suitable for the entire family. People are more interested in how their food is produced and want to meet the producers and talk to them about what goes into their food. Particularly, culinary festivals and events have become more prevalent in propelling agro-tourism advancement.
The sector's food purchasing bill is often quite high in comparison to the size of the economy. Yet much of this is spent abroad, even though supplies are available from local producers. At the same time, the increasing numbers of tourists visiting the country are seeking new experiences about our way of life, including rural experiences that could include farm tours. This provides an opportunity to foster linkage between both sectors, providing economic opportunities for stakeholders and other entrepreneurs. AICA's agrotourism expert, Ina Harvey, outlined the benefits of agrotourism.
The World Travel and Tourism Council once did a report saying that agrotourism represents the most direct form of relieving poverty, especially in rural areas, because when a tourist comes to a rural area, they hand the money to a farmer, to a farm family. Diversification of farm income while keeping land in production. Investment and income earning opportunities for women, families, youth, indigenous communities, and value added and retention of origin in rural areas. I always like when I give a presentation to talk about some key messages. We need to be clear on why we are in tourism and who should benefit from tourism. Local communities cannot be an afterthought or means to an end to protect tourism investment. Tourism cannot be successful without a sustainable food production sector and climate-smart agriculture. Agricultural biodiversity and heritage and the culture of food in the Caribbean enhance the value proposition of a sustainable tourism product. Agrotourism must therefore be integrally linked to food and nutrition security and to the management of chronic non-communicable diseases, which is sweeping our region to the extent that childhood obesity is rampant right through our region. How do we make it work? The facilitation, coordination, and growth of agrotourism as a distinct economic activity requires the emergence of institutions and partnerships that can coordinate, plan together, manage events together, promote together, advertise, and manage information. As such, I'm very pleased that we have the Ministry of Tourism and all of you stakeholders here this morning to discuss the key elements of our policy framework, which is key and basic to facilitating linkages, and to identify some priority areas for project development here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
George Alsey, representative of the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States, was present at the workshop.
This collaboration with the CTA ICA started in 2016 with the OECS, our contribution under the 10 PDF, where we, under our program, worked with all the countries, but more specifically leading up to this project, we supported the participation of 3 chefs from the OECS, namely one from Dominica, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent of the Grenadines. ICA also at this time supported other stakeholders to participate in the CTA workshop at the Caribbean Week of Agriculture of 2016, which was entitled Investing in Agribusiness Development in the Caribbean, Successes, Innovations, and Impact. It was at this workshop that the input of all stakeholders there that this project was born. The OECS vision, which is a better quality of life for the people of the OECS, to reach this vision, to achieve this vision, we acknowledge the contribution that the 2 economic sectors of agriculture and tourism can make. But also we fully recognize that by creating the linkages between the 2 sectors, that this vision of quality of life can be advanced. Taking advantage of the opportunities of the inbound tourism market by creating and positioning a marketable product and service offering is one example of advancing this vision. The investment opportunities for agriculture tourism goes beyond visitors consuming local foods at hotels. With a movement towards experiential tourism, many visitors are seeking experiences that place local foods in the context of place. Food tourism, food festivals, farm to table, and farm to spa all create very memorable experiences that our visitors are looking for and that we need to fully explore.
To celebrate International Day of Forest this year, a group of students from the St. Clair Dakin Secondary School were exposed to the benefits of the forest in our lives. Vilbert Jack of the Communications Unit has more.
International Day of Forests is celebrated each year on March 21 to give support in contributing towards the public awareness about the importance of forests. This year, it was celebrated under the theme Forests and Education. With this in mind, a team of officers from the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority and the Forestry Department engaged students from the St. Clair Dakin Secondary School in Carapan and the Intermediate High School in Mackey's Hill on a tour through the oldest rainforest on the island, the Kings Hill Forest Reserve. Speaking at the top of the climb, Forestry Officer within the Education Unit of the Forestry Department, Garth Dishong, told us about the aim of this event.
The main aim is about educating people about the forest and the importance of it to our environment. And as we know, we are suffering a lot from deforestation, and this is part of our day-to-day livelihood. A lot of people see forests have not been important. It is important to us in a number of ways. That's why we are celebrating World Forestry Day, which is today, to show the importance of forests to us and the environment and also the country at large.
The students gave some brief insights of what they learned.
What I learned today is that the forest is 228 years old, and they have varieties of trees from different stages. And the forest is important because this area was, long time ago, was hit by a dry wind from the sea, and the forest was to help gather clouds, because they say trees that farm clouds and things to make the area a little bit cooler. During the trail, they tell me about the area around soil creep and what happens if you put trees at near banks, and what happens when heavy wind blow and when the soil loose out from underneath the trees. If you put heavy trees at the side, they will fall over and litter or might do different damages to the area.
I will like to tell you something about certain trees that they struggle to meet the sunlight, and they have certain soils, and you couldn't know the different trees by the stem.
Teacher librarian of the school, Roxanne Dick, highlights her experience.
It's very interesting to learn about the forest. Being so close to the forest, to Kings Hill as a school and never coming up here, I'm really happy for this opportunity. And we have learned a lot that we should not really take the forest for granted. It's very important to us. And I hope these children take today as a very important day for them, as Kings Hill is the oldest forest reserve in St. Vincent and the second oldest in the Western Hemisphere. So we have a treasure right in our backyard, which we should appreciate.
You are watching Agri Business Now, and we are into our How to Do segment, where you will learn how to differentiate between fresh fish and stale fish.
When fish is fresh, the slime is clear, colors are bright, eyes are clear and convex, that is, the eyes are bulging, the texture of the fish is firm to the touch, gills are bright red, the belly cavity is intact and shiny, and the odor smells like seaweed. On the other hand, when fish is stale, the outer slime is cloudy, colors are bleached, eyes are cloudy and concave, that is sunk in, the texture is soft, the flesh is soft, it retains your fingerprint, gills are brown in color, and the belly cavity is easily torn.
Here are the news and announcements.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labour, in collaboration with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CIDEMA, the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, the Italian International Center on Environmental Monitoring Research Foundation, under the overall coordination of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and with the financial support of the Italian Agency for Development Corporation, will be hosting the launch of the Resilient Environment and Agricultural Caribbean Habitat REACH project and a national roundtable on 4th April 2019 at the Methodist Church Hall, beginning at 9 a.m.
Well, here we are once again at the end of another Agribusiness Now program. But we'll be here again next week, Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. with another interesting program. For more information, feel free to contact us at the Communications Unit within the Ministry of Agriculture at 456-1111, extension 312 or 472, or email us at citumaf2@hotmail.com. Remember, you can view more of Agribusiness Now programs on our YouTube channel, Agribusiness Now St. Vincent, or like our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/agribusinessnow, to get more updates. Until next time, I am your host, Nakita Samuel. Thank you for viewing, and do have yourself a wonderful night.